Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. And as you all are aware, that now we have to say goodbye very soon to 2020. And we have to welcome the new year, 2021. So today's topic is what new this new year. For last year's words belongs to last year's language, and next year's words await another voice. What the new year brings to you will depend a great deal on what you bring to the new year. The new year stands before us like a chapter in a book waiting to be written. New Year is the time or day at which a new calendar year begins, and the calendar's year count increments by one. Many cultures celebrate the event in some manner. In the Gregorian calendar, the most widely used calendar system today. The Gregorian calendar is the calendar used in most of the world. It was introduced in October 1852 by Pope Gregory 13 as a minor modification of the Julian calendar, reducing the average year from 365.25 days to 365.2425 days and adjusting for the drift in the tropical or solar year that the inaccuracy had caused during the intervening centuries. New Year occurs on January 1st, New Year's Day. This was also the first day of the year in the original Julian calendar and of the Roman calendar after 153 BC. Other cultures observe their traditional or religious New Year's Day according to their own customs, sometimes in addition to Gregorian civil calendar. Chinese New Year, the Islamic New Year, the traditional Japanese New Year, and the Jewish New Year are the more well-known examples. India continued to celebrate New Year on different dates. It took quite a long time before January 1 again became the universal or standard start of the civil year. The United Nations has declared 2021 as the International Year of Peace and Trust, the International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development, the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables, and the International Year for the elimination of child labor. 2021 is scheduled to host most major events that were originally scheduled for 2020, including the Eurovision Song Contest, UEFA Euro 2020, 2020 Summer Olympics, and Expo 2020, but were postponed or cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. 2020 was a year turned upside down by the novel coronavirus. But with the prospects of several vaccines coming online and less stringent restrictions, experts say it is possible 2021 will return to a semblance of normality. New year, new me, same dreams, fresh starts. So to start fresh, today's topic is what new this new year. We have a very elite panel with us. I would like to invite my first guest, and he is Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS is one-man expert commission on labor to prepare an action plan for the welfare and development of the workforce in the context of COVID-19. He was former head of Disaster Management, Government of India, and Central Draft Relief Commissioner, Government of India. He is also the principal advisor, Government of India Heritage Project. He is the chairman of Indian Red Cross Kerala. He was the vice chancellor of National Museum, University of Delhi. He has authored 40 books in English, Malayalam, and Hindi, including novels, short stories, and essays. 4 of his books have become bestsellers. 4 books on Vastu and architecture and 1 book on housing received prestigious the Sharjah International Book Fair Award. Dr. Bose is an housing expert, innovator, writer, orator, and visionary. The path-breaking institutions set up by him, such as Nirmiti Kendra Building Center, District Tourism Council and Habitat Alliance have been replicated at the state, national, and global level. He was the head of the prestigious Supreme Court Committee on the Treasures of Sri Padmanabhaswamy Temple. Dr. Bose addressed United Nations General Assembly and specialized sessions 5 times on various international issues. Dr. Bose is a recipient of 31 national and international awards, including United Nations Global Best Practice Award. He also received prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru Fellowship. Kerala government termed him Lord of Ideas. Former Prime Minister Mr. Manmohan Singh called him inspired civil servant, and our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi called him man of ideas. And today, to discuss what new this new year, I would like to invite and welcome Dr. C.V. Anand Bose to give his views about what new this new year. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. I think I have the self-assumed position of being one of the first to wish a happy new year, not only to the panelists, but also to all the viewers of Global TV. New Year, as we know, is a moment to ring out the old and ring in the new. I first salute Julius Caesar, who is responsible for the celebration of the New Year throughout the world on the 1st of January. And as all of us know, or all of us should know, January takes its name from the Roman god Janus. Janus has 2 faces. The one looks forward, the other looks backwards. And the positioning of New Year is also just that. We are in the crossroads between the past and the future. That is a unique positioning. 4,000 years back, this habit or custom or tradition of celebrating the New Year started by the Babylonians. Kudos to the forefathers who thought of this bright idea. Now, I don't want to go into the theoretical aspects or the definitions of New Year. I have a few personal instances to narrate, mostly instances which resulted in my own discomfiture. I remember long time back, when I happened to be district collector of Kollam in Kerala, we had a celebration called Kollam Amity celebrations, which start on the eve of the Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve. There was a interfaith dialogue or meeting, congregation. Thousands and thousands of people were there. One of the speakers was Swami Chinmayananda. But Chinmayananda's flight got delayed by an hour and a half. Suddenly, one of the organizers announced in the mic, Chinmayananda will be late, so our collector will speak. I was a collector. I had no information. But since I had announced it, I went up the stage, stood before the microphone and asked him, what is the topic? A simple topic was given to me. Dialectical materialism and the essence of Indian philosophy. Have you understood anything? I didn't understand anything. But anyway, I was forced to speak on dialectical materialism and the essence of Indian philosophy. 15 minutes passed. Then I got a chit. I thought, really, normally, as you speak, when you get a chit, it means, please stop. No. They had written, Swamiji's flight is still delayed by another 1 hour. So keep on speaking. So you can imagine my pride. I spoke. This is scene number 1. Scene number 2, after 2 years, on a New Year's Eve, I happened to be in a hotel room in New York because of my official work. I get a call at midnight. A frantic lady is calling me. Can I speak to Dr. Bose? I said, yes, ma'am. Doctor, I need your help. How can I help you, ma'am? See, I'm not able to sleep. See, please, I need your help. I thought maybe she felt I'm a medical doctor. So I clarified it. She says, no. I have checked the Wikipedia and I know everything about you. That's why I'm calling. I cannot sleep. I need your help. What can you do, ma'am? She said something. I said, okay. Maybe you are having hypertension. He said, yes, I'm chronically hypertensive. Oh, are you in the habit of taking sleeping pills? She said, yes, yes, phenobarbital I take. Maybe you would have forgotten to take that. That's why you're not able to sleep. She said, no, I know everything. I did everything. You're the only person who can help me in getting some sleep. I said, how? Then she said, Dr. Bose, do you remember 2 years back, you gave a speech, an hour-long speech on dialectical materialism and the essence of Indian philosophy. Yes. A minute after you started the speech, I started sleeping. Can you repeat the speech or for once more so that I can get a sound sleep? That is one of my New Year discomfitures. And the second is worse than that. There was a New Year function organized by the government of India in Delhi, Vigyan Bhavan. I happened to be in the Ministry of Culture at that time. In fact, I just got my promotion as Secretary to Government of India. I was in charge of this cultural function. But somebody said there may be some trouble created by the opposition, these student unions. So entry to the Vigyan Bhavan, where this function was to be held, was by security pass, which should be signed by the Commissioner of Police. So policemen in Mufti were put to check the pass. First came Amjad Ali Khan. He had forgotten to take the pass. The policeman asked him, sir, the pass. Amjad said, sorry, I haven't taken the pass. Then the policeman said, what's the proof that you are Amjad Ali Khan? So he played on the side road. People said, policeman also said, okay, proof enough. Admitted. Then comes Amitabh Bachchan. No pass. Policeman asked for pass. No pass. Proof. Amitabh narrated a few dialogues from Diwar. Proof enough. He was admitted. Then comes Yesudas. No pass. Proof. He sang a song. Proof enough. Admitted. Then comes I. I came in that white ambassador car with a red beacon light. At that time, anybody could use the red beacon light. I came out of the car, straight away went into the Vigyan Bhavan. The policeman stopped him. I said, why? Sir, the pass. I said, pass? For me? I'm the culture secretary. With the typical IAS arrogance, I said, I'm the culture secretary. Policeman said, sir, nobody questions that, but there should be a pass. I said, no, not for me. He said, please don't take it that way. Amjad Ali Khan came here, Amitabh Bachchan came here, Yesudas came here. They had no pass, so they showed proof. I got further irritated. I said, Amjad Ali Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, Yesudas, who are these guys? And the policeman asked me, sir, you don't know them? Further irritated, I said, I don't know them. Why should I know them? Then the policeman said, sir, no more proof is required. You are the culture secretary. That is my second discomfiture on the New Year's Eve. So if I start narrating like this, I would not have come for this meeting. You know why? My date of birth is 2nd January. See, for the 1st January, I would have had the privilege of being the New Year baby, which is a great honor. I missed it by one day. Now, secondly, I am always in my life, I am one day missed. Today, somebody told me, my secretary told me today is a discussion, but I had registered in my mind that is tomorrow. So I would have missed this discussion also by one day. I missed the IAS by 1 year. So I've missed a lot of things by this failure of being born on the 1st of Jan. And the worst of it, with this, of course, I will stop the narration of my discomfiture. The worst of it came, Dr. Goel, my wife's first delivery. I was in Trivandrum, so I got the news, I got to the next train. I had to go to the hospital and see her. When the train reached Kottayam railway station, I told the TT, I have to get down to the next railway station, Ettumanoor. TT said, sorry, sir. This is a long distance train. This won't stop in the small stations like Ettumanoor. So I asked him, please help me. He said, okay, I'll do one thing. I will tell the driver and slow down the train. I will help you, handhold you, so that you can reach the platform. But once you touch the platform, please keep running, otherwise you will fall down. It was done like that. I was running after the train. Then the guard in the last one, he saw somebody running to get into the train. He leaned down and pulled me again into the train. And then he said, sir, since I have seen you, you are lucky enough to get into my train. There also, I missed it by one day. Therefore, my experience of New Year is that I have been chosen as a perpetual loser, perpetual latecomer, perpetual one who loses it by one day. Thank you, Goel sir, for inviting me to share my humble thoughts with the entire distinguished panelists and also the crowd. Thank you so much. I'll come back to the discomfiture not of mine, but of others in the next round, if there is a next round for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bose, for giving your experiences. I don't know whether they are true or not, but it sounds that what you are talking is true. Although we are in the fag end of 2020 and we are welcoming 2021. So all things are now accepted. We take it as a gospel truth, whatsoever you are saying. Although we are not digesting, at least I am not digesting. I don't know how the viewers are digesting what you have mentioned. Anyway, very nice hearing
Well, sir,
all.
well,
Yes, please.
sir, I tell stories. People call me the multi-storied person.
Yes, you are not only multi-story, you are a multi-story person. Now I would like to invite my next guest. And viewers, today it's the program is a very light program because the whole year we have discussed very serious subjects, and especially with an eminent personality like Dr. Bose, all serious talks. So we have decided to give a lighter talks today, lighter discussion. So we are only talking in very lighter mood. So let me now invite the next guest, and he's Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Dr. Mukesh Sharma is the former Director General of Films Divisions of India and also the former Additional Director General of Doordarshan, working for the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting for the Government of India. He has been in the TV broadcast industry since 1992. He won the Best DD Kendra Award in 2001. He was instrumental in changing the fortunes of DD Mumbai and was the #1 regional Marathi Kendra in the country for a number of years. Dr. Sharma is the recipient of several national and international awards for the work done in the film and broadcasting industry. He also holds a PhD in journalism and mass communication. Currently, he is the dean with the School of Branding and Advertising with NMIMS University, Mumbai. Welcome, Dr. Mukesh Sharma on our show. Please unmute yourself, Dr. Sharma. Uh, Dr.
Yes.
Sharma, you have heard what Dr. Bose has given his thoughts in the storytelling. And I would like to inform all our viewers, Dr. Mukesh Sharma has recently started a new concept that is kahaniya, that is stories, very short stories on video form, which he is sending almost every third day or fourth day, which he is telling. And it's a very short stories, 3 to 6 minutes, but very relevant stories, which I personally, whenever he sends, I have to see. So I am sure that he's going to share some of his stories, interesting stories, because he has also worked in Doordarshan, and we know how the Doordarshan at one time New Year Eve was only organized at Doordarshan Kendra, nowhere else, and everybody was glued to that television and that TV, and especially our remote places like my native place at Mathura, which is about 150 kilometers away from Delhi. It was very difficult to get the reception, clear reception. So about 100 feet high, the antenna used to be. So we used to go and see, just twist here and there to watch that New Year Eve. So our half of the time of the New Year passes twisting the antenna here and there to watch what is happening in Doordarshan. Yes. So welcome, Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Your take on this, what is this New Year? What new this New Year? Dr. Mukesh Sharma, please.
Thank you, Dr. Goel. Thank you, Mr. Bose, Mr. Raj, and Sanjana ji, Dr. Sanjana ji. Good morning to all of you. I don't know where to begin with, because I think my life has been a very roller coaster life, like Dr. Anand Bose says. Well, I don't know if anybody has been hijacked. I have been, I've been hijacked also in Indian Airlines flight way back, but that's another story. Yes, but since Dr. Goel has said about New Year, I still remember, because as he said, that Doordarshan used to make a lot of New Year programs every year, and especially this was entrusted to Doordarshan Kendra Mumbai, because we could market it also very well here. And I've also, at one time, having 5 departments. Like my colleague, Dr. Bose, I was heading the down south as the additional DG's West Zone. and even head of the Prasar Bharati Marketing Division, and DDK Mumbai, and Director General of Films Division. So all these things, Mr. Jetli was there, and he knew me very well. He said, no, वो manage कर लेगा, कोई problem नहीं, I know him. I said, okay, sir. Just like now, you give a kuli, एक bag और ले ले, एक इधर से ले ले, put one here, and then everything is done. But anyway, coming back to the story, I made that program, and that program was very well done, sir. We spent something like about, I think at that time, 2007 or 6, nearly, or maybe 11, 14, because I came back also again to DDK. I'm not remembering, but this happened when that rape case happened in Delhi, in the bus, and that girl was brutally raped, and finally she was killed.
Nirbhaya case.
Nirbhaya Kand. So when this Nirbhaya Kand happened, just a day before, I think it was in the end of the somewhere in that year that this happened. And meanwhile, we made our program, and I sold it also for nearly 1 crore that night. The FCT was. Now I was very excited that now the program has been done as usual, and I will take the feather on my cap, and I'll be picking the collar highs and said that look, we have done it again. And as luck would have it, sir, when you do your best, and suddenly I got a call from Delhi from the minister himself, Mukeshji, we have decided to drop the program. I said, but why, sir? No, keeping the nation's mood in mind, keeping everything, we won't go. I said, sir, but we'll be losing 1 crore of rupees, whatever we have spent. I know that, but since we are public service broadcasters, we can do that. And then in the moment he said public service broadcasters, immediately the entire commercial went out of my mind, because primarily I'm a public service broadcaster. But since I had to earn revenue also, so I said, no problem, sir. We will not take it. And that night, I think we just then played something else all night. People may remember who have been watching Doordarshan. So that was one thing which then carried out. But I was again smart enough. Next year, I again repasted it, re-edited it, and did something about it, and then sold it again for 1 crore here. And the next year we did that program. So that was one thing which I very well remember. But something I don't understand, Goel sir, and Mr. Bose and Mr. Raj would like to say that, why are we so, and rather you, I'm pointing you directly, why are you so keen to do a talking on this New Year show? Why don't you do something, or why are we all awake at night and say, okay, at 12 o'clock, after 12, that Happy New Year to you? Why don't we say on 15th August night, when we got the independence, why don't we wake whole night that night and say at all the Happy Independence Day? Why that has not been inculcated? Anyway, I did this, and I started Jago Re Jago, and I got the T Jago Re Jago to sponsor me. I said, "Hum 12 baje tak jagenge raat ke, and we will run this program, and we will say that Happy Independence Day." So my request to you is, since your channel now whole year you have been doing something, on 15th August night or something, do this program at night. Make the people alert. Make them the same thing what they do on New Year's Day. That sort of thing should come out, which is not coming, sir. Which I am finding, because right now everything is available. Available. It's so easy. Nobody knows how the independence has been fought and how we got this. The hard work people have put into it. So all that has been focused, and especially the millenniums. So that is why now, because I'm in touch with them on a daily basis as the dean of this university here, and also because I'm doing storytelling. Believe me, sir, for me, this entire year is going to be now only stories and nothing else. And before I wind up, I want to tell you some interesting story which Mr. Bose and people like us who have retired from the government will like it and appreciate it. This story is about a fused bulb, sir. A story of a fused bulb. This was about a senior civil servant who retired from the government. He came to stay in a small housing society. And he didn't like the atmosphere there, because he was in a palatial place, an old British era Victorian building. He was staying there. So he didn't talk to anyone. He was in his own world. Of course, he came down and walked in the park, saw a lot of people walking around, but he did not interact with anyone. It went on. After a couple of days, he met an old man, a person elder than him. And then somehow they broke the subject and we started talking to him. And then again, this fellow said, look, I retired at so-and-so, I was this so-and-so, and I did so, and I got this award, and I got that award, and I was blah, blah, blah. And he never allowed this old man to say a word for at least a week. After a week, he realized himself, no, this fellow should also tell me what is he. So he asked him, you didn't tell me about yourself. He said, well, I was the member of parliament for 2 years, but that's okay. I finished with it. And you see that the gentleman sitting there, the Sardarji, he was the retired Major General of the Army. And that guy was the ISRO chief. They're sitting, he's in the sun. And the other guy there, he retired as the general manager of the railways. He said, gentlemen, we all are like fused bulbs. Somebody was 100 watts, somebody was 40 watts, somebody was 60 watts, somebody was 0 watt, somebody was LED, somebody was LCD, somebody was somebody was just decorative. But now we are fused. So let's accept the fact. Yes, no doubt about it. People praise the rising sun, and people also enjoy and the setting sun. But at the end of the day, they worship the rising sun only. So let us have this fact. Enjoy this evening of life. Enjoy this garden. Enjoy this place, and you will find that life is much better than what you think. I thought that was something which at least I took it, and immediately I connected with it. I said, to hell with it, what I was. To hell with it. In New Year, I'm going to be me, what I am, and I'm going to be what I'm going to continue with it. And I'm going to tell such stories, come out with these stories, dig deeper high. And I have a good, like Dr. Bose, you are good in English. I'm much better in Hindi. हिंदी मेरी मातृभाषा है, मैं बहुत अच्छी बोल लेता हूँ सर, और मुझे कमांड भी है उसके ऊपर. तो मैं अपने तरीके से उन कहानियों को सुनाता हूँ, तो लोग जरा मुझसे जुड़ भी जाते हैं जल्दी. 2-2.5 मिनट में मैं अपनी बात कहीं खत्म कर देता हूँ. अभी भी मैंने खत्म कर दिया. I leave it back to Dr. Goel to take it forward.
Thank you very much to terming us as a fuse bulb. Except Sanjana ji, all the four of us are according to your fuse bulb in the category of LED or 40 watt or 100 watt. I don't know. I might be a 0-watt bulb, but yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Mukesh Sharma, for
but
giving
we are
your.
enjoying, sir. We are enjoying what we are doing now. So let us think that what I'm saying. Let's live the present to its fullest, sir.
Yes, yes. We must enjoy whatsoever we are doing. And basically, this is the mool mantra of 2020. If you take that coronavirus, if you would have taken seriously, your immunity would have gone down like anything. And those who have taken this coronavirus time as an opportunity, which I can vouch for Dr. Bose and even for you, Dr. Mukesh Sharma, even for both the panelists, other panelists, Mr. Raj Shekhan as well as Dr. Sanjana, how good they have done, because I am receiving lots of messages or their Facebook post, etc. And I'm watching them. I feel this, if everybody would have taken, then 2020, although it was very sad and it was very bad for the business, for the lives, etc. But it has taught us a lesson that one should not bow down against anything. And if you are determined to do something positively, you can do it. And that's why we as a media, I can tell you that whether it's a Global TV or V4 News and other media houses, we have taken a very decision that we should do only the positive media for the nation building. We are not involved in tutu meme type of thing. We believe that we must give the clean messages to the public at large, and especially to the youth, because 65% population of the India belongs to youths. And if we will not give them proper message, we are failing in our duty. Thank you very much, Dr. Mukesh Sharma. We will come back to you again, and we will have more stories from you, like Dr. Bose is also going to have some more stories. So thank you very much. Now I would like to go to my next panelist, and he is Mr. Niloli P. Rajshekharan. Mr. Rajshekharan is a writer, music composer, and CEO of Guru Management Consultants, Bengaluru. His creative and social activities include publishing 6 Malayalam novels and over 40 short stories. He published 2 English novels, King Pawn, based on Syrian civil war, and Azadi, based on the conflict in Kashmir. He has published Competency Web, The Corporate DNA, and several other papers. He composed over 200 songs for labels and independent music, currently promoting 3 YouTube channels. He is coaching and mentoring startups. He is having experience of 45 years of international as a director level. He worked for profit and also not-for-profit organizations. For 15 years in financial services like Bank of India, Chase Manhattan, and Standard Chartered Bank. 10 years in oil and gas like Shell, ExxonMobil, Qatar Petroleum, and 10 years in non-profit organizations like CGIAR, World Bank Funded International Systems. 10 years in consultancy and teaching MBA students, entrepreneurs, and corporates. He lived and worked in over 45 countries across continents. He is a management consultant, coach, speaker, creative writer, musician, and active on social media. He is a strategist on governance, performance management, leadership development, and HR. His expertise in management of startup, downsizing, high growth, turnaround, and cultural transformations. He is a member of Mensa International. And as I already mentioned, he's a globe trotter. welcome Mr. Rajshekharan on our show. Mr. Rajshekharan, you have already heard the stories. I don't know whether when we would use the word stories, whether they term to be the real happening or it's just a stories or a just thinking of from the mind of Dr. Bose as well as from Dr. Mukesh Sharma.
One second before you, I just want to compliment Dr. Raj for your beautiful CV. So many things you have done, sir. I would like to follow you, and I'm so happy to have met you today. But thanks to Mr. Goel for introducing me to such, some at least panelists. I would say that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. It's a pleasure of our media conference with Lal Goel that such types of top personalities are joining and coming on our show very frequently, which includes even the governor of Sikkim has joined,
Yes.
Miss Menka Gandhi has joined, even Mr. Ramdas Athavale, and many top bureaucrats,
I
civil
remember
servants.
your Chief Election Commissioner of India, our former, was also there with us.
Yes. And you are all there, Mr. Rajshekharan, Ms. Dr. Sanjana, and Dr. Bose, of course. So now I would like Mr. Rajshekharan to give his sides of this, what new this new year, how you are going to say. You have already heard both of our earlier panelists. Mr. Rajshekharan, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Goel, first of all, and then to other panelists. So let me also, as a second or third person, wish a happy new year. Let's hope 2021 will be quite different from what we have seen in 2020. I'm pretty confident it will be, because as Mr. Goel said, we have been resilient, especially as Indians, we are quite resilient. We have the jugaad, so we live with what we can, and we make the best of what we can. So I'm very sure that we'll have probably a very much more prosperous India coming into 2021. I'm very confident about it. That's one. The second thing is about stories. It's very interesting that we start with stories, because I'm also basically a storyteller. And I think storytelling is the most important part of culture. Whether you take religion, you take culture, you take societies, any of them, they survive and they pass on their values, pass on their culture through stories, literature. So I think storytelling is very important. But the interesting thing now is that the news people are also saying, here is the latest story. The language has changed in news reporting. So you don't know whether it's a story or news anymore. So sometimes it's interesting when you listen to news and say, is this really a story, as they say, or is it some basis to it? So stories are becoming more universal, including into news. So good that we start with stories. I'll start with a couple of experiences. Sometimes in maybe July or August, when Corona was getting to its peak and people were quite scared, much more scared than they are today. So I talked to some of my friends and say, how do you see life beyond Corona? Then they said, that depends on whether I'm still there. So I said, no, you can't say that, because whether there's Corona or no, you don't know whether you're going to be there tomorrow. It makes no difference, because you sleep one night, you don't know whether you'll get up next morning, and that's life. So what do you think about life beyond Corona? So that set some of us thinking. So unlike the previous two speakers, I want to speak a little bit seriously about the life as I see beyond Corona. And that comes from two or three things. One, I do a lot of consulting for international organizations, and they're all struggling with this issue. So that process has forced me to think about this a little more seriously, because they're struggling with business issues, social issues, cultural issues, and looking at, how do we redefine life? Because there is a life beyond Corona, there's no doubt about it. We'll out-survive. We are designed to out-survive. So there is no issue with that. So if you look at that as a starting point, I wanted to talk about 3 or 4 things which I see as extremely important for 2021. And I'm sure all of you would know this at the back of your mind, but I'm just trying to sort of vocalize it in a slightly different way, maybe a little organized there. The first is, I think we need a new set of vision and values. As the Bible says, without a vision, the people perish. So whatever vision, and that leads to I would say, new leadership styles. We need more global leaders who can be decisive, and that might lead to a bit of abridged, or I might say guided democracy, because the world has been moving to the right as a reaction to fundamentalism or to terrorism or reactions to many things. Now, I'm not getting into the issue of ethically, morally, things right or wrong, but these are trends that are happening. Then the second thing is there is a lot of prioritization happening, as all of us would know. I think twice before I spend money now, because there are needs and there are wants. I want so many things, but I don't need all of them. So there is a rethinking happening about resources, how we use resources, and that's particularly important in terms of its impact on environment. A lot of things we buy, we waste, we throw away, it affects environment, and people are becoming more conscious about the environment. These are some trends that I noticed. The other thing is we are looking at more global issues, whether it's vaccines, whether it's going to be health, whether it's going to be healthcare, whether it's going to be treatment of diseases or wellness. So that's happening. The other main trend I see is cultural leadership. A lot of organizations have been exporting culture, whether it's the Hollywood movies or whether it's the British Council or Voice of America or any of those things. They have been exporting cultural products. And you find that there are some alternate cultural products coming onto the scene, which would be like alternate medicine, yoga. You think of more sustainable ways of living, which would give us more health rather than treatment of diseases. I think allopathy has done a great job in terms of dealing with infections or surgery. But many of the lifestyle diseases today, whether it's diabetes, whether it's hypertension, whether it's stress, those medicines cannot deal with it. So we need to make some changes in the way of life. And you find that some of the so-called Eastern cultures, whether it's Chinese, Far East, or Indian, Tibetan, you name it, many of them have solutions to offer in terms of more sustainable livelihoods. That's happening. And the fourth trend I see is in terms of forced entrepreneurship. Many people have lost jobs or are finding it difficult to sustain their lives. So what's happening is they're being forced to look at new ways of doing things on their own. And this will push more into a development of the rural economy, a decentralized economy. I think that's going to happen. So many of the corporates are starting to look at focusing on rural economy. And as Mr. Goel said, we have a very young India. If you just talk of India, but I'm not talking of India only, I'm talking of the whole world. The rural economies and the decentralized economies will come into play, which will probably make agriculture a lot more sexy than it's today. If you look at the whole revolution in terms of entrepreneurship, it's been focused on the new technologies, the aggregators, the people like the Amazons or the Flipkarts, but it has not really reached the rural India or the rural population who depend on agriculture. So the modernization of agriculture, rural economy, food industry, you look at the post-harvest technologies, all those things are going to become a lot more important in the next into 2021. And finally, there is also a big recognition of the value of relationships. Sometimes we were forced into it because people who spend very little time at home with family were forced to do that and suddenly found it's not that bad as they thought it to be. It's quite nice, actually. So the relationship, whether it's with the family, whether it's the immediate neighbors, or with the local community has improved. I'll give you one or two examples because when the supply broke down initially, because we were not getting vegetables, we were not getting grocery, etc., and the big ones closed down because they stopped supplies. The Amazons and the big baskets, and although they stopped supplies because they could not maintain the supply chain. So who came to our rescue? It was the local suppliers, the corner shops, the people who came, and they were there for us. So now we find that many of, like in where I live, it's a community. We have organized people to come and deliver things to us straight from the fields, farms. And we find that we get better stuff, and they get better prices. So I think there is a shift in the way we think about our own lives and what's important there, the importance of relationship rather than just transactions. And that's been a big change. So I would stop there in terms of the serious part of it. Now I'll give you one or two stories because stories are important and we started with stories. We know the famous Chinese saying that the advice that is valid in all locations, all situations is that this too will pass. So this too will pass. There's no doubt about it. And we can all see, I think we can start seeing the signs of it. And many of these discussions are more upbeat now. I was fortunate to work with the report that Dr. Bose is submitting to the government in terms of many things. We're talking about art and culture. When people are hungry, they say you should not talk about art and culture, but no, they talk about art and culture. When they're hungry, sometimes they talk more about art and culture. So I think there are different aspects of life which are being put into more prominence than it would have been without Corona. So I'm starting to look at the positive side of Corona. So if Corona was a CEO, and if you were to write a CV about Corona, what it has achieved many things. It has forced digitalization. You find that a lot more people are online now. We are doing this conference online. In my consultancy work, I've cut down maybe 20 international travels in the last year. Nothing changed because I could still do it online. So it was not necessary. And how much tons of carbon we have saved by not having these international flights. My diesel bill has gone down by maybe 70%. I don't drive that much anymore. So if you look at the positive side, the environment is much better. Now, Bangalore has a temperature of 17, 18 at night, which we never had. We had to run air conditioning last year. So if you look at that, the impact on people, biodiversity, animals are back, some of the birds are back. So maybe it's a way of nature's reclaiming a part of its territory that it had lost to people. So that is one big positive side of it. The second part is a lot of people are becoming entrepreneurial. They're working from home. They're providing services, editorial services. I get my books edited. I get my things done. Most of it's online now. And they have their freedom. They spend time with their families. I work when I want to work. Now I'm sitting here at home doing this conference. After that, I can go back and do what I want, which was not, even though the technology was there, even the CEOs could not push that cultural change. So what has happened is, for Corona has forced us to make that change. And some of my friends in Bangalore, they have shifted their way of working. More than 75% of their workforce now works from home. So I was talking to some of them and said, what happens once the vaccines are in place and Corona is gone? They said, we'll stick to the same. Why should we bring them back? So commercial space is becoming more available, less expensive. And the last part I would say is the impact on architecture. A lot of people complain about real estate, value of real estate being lost. I think it's a matter of redefinition. I think the new complexes will become hazy about where it's residential or commercial. You could have residential properties where there are commercial space available at the bottom of the floors. So companies could lease space and people could work in the same location. I'm just thinking aloud. So there are so many creative possibilities that has been thrown up by Corona as an unexpected intruder into our lives. But I don't see that as negative at all. So I think 2021 has a lot of promise. If there's a next round, I'll talk about some of the specific things I see changing and some of the specific things that we could do actually, and we could catalyze or force or influence or explain through stories. I would stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rajshekharan. And Mr. Rajshekharan has given the positive and negative, both the sides of the Corona, but main emphasis was that what opportunities Corona has given is tremendous, how the lifestyle has been changed, how the money is saved, how the carbon emission has saved, how the pollution has reduced. So many things he has emphasized, and he's definitely, he feels that if we will change our lifestyle, definitely we can achieve more. But now again, coming to the point of the storytelling, because Mr. Rajshekharan has given the, because we all suffered. We know that in 2020, we have to suffer. And when we are talking about the storytelling, I will just tell one incident. I will not term it a story, otherwise you will think that it is also a fact of my imagination. Last year, I was in USA, and my children said, you are doing nothing. You should learn. You in USA, you must join some course. So they enroll me in one 2 days, some classes of storytelling. I went there. Fortunately, unfortunately, I was the most youngest, I mean, the oldest person in that entire group. And when they started, that trainer has started, you have to do this, and you have to tell your some stories, experiences, then he will correct. So when my turn came, I gave my incident, real incident. And after that, the first day I said about the organ donation, which was very serious, and not a single comment from anyone. Rather, once I finished, I saw somebody wiping her tears also. And the next day, when they started, I found a change, because I was told that you have to carry your own water bottle. Nobody will, it's a USA, nobody will have any courtesy. You will find in the pantry everything. You can go, whatsoever you want, you can eat or drink, but nobody is going to ask you. I said, fine. So my children gave me one water bottle. I said, okay, I'm carrying. In India, we never carry like this, but okay, let me carry. There, next day when I reached there, I found that they are very approachable to me, and they offered me tea, coffee. No, no, we will prepare for this. Next day, I told them some story, which is very interesting story. After that, the trainer told me, sir, why you joined our class? You should be training us. We are not supposed. So at that time, my immediately the reaction was that I was feeling proud of our country, because we in India are, from the very childhood, we hear so many stories from our grandparents and all our elders, and they are really so encouraging, and we know what is storytelling. So storytelling is in our blood in all Indians, and we are proud to be Indians to say all these stories. Now I would like to go to our next guest, and she is a very, very celebrated guest again. She is Dr. Sanjana John, social and animal activist, International Fashion and Youth Con, Florida, USA. Although right now she is in India, I'm sure because of the corona, she's stuck up here. Dr. Sanjana John she received her honorary doctorate degree from King's University, USA. Her acclaimed debut was at Cannes for the film festival, supported by Prince Albert of Monaco, Princess Soria, Princess Sarah Al Saud, Princess Oliva de Bourbon, and more. This led to the New York Fashion Week debut and Vancouver Fashion Week, where she won International Rising Star Award. Fashion with Heart has been propagated by her, where every show or event supports a charity or cause. Dr. Sanjana John has been a socially motivated person since her school and college days, used to provide food and clothing to the underprivileged kids and read for the blind students. She set up a special sanctuary with more than 100 tigers in Florida, and a special campaign was organized to save tigers and animals globally. She adopted and supports more than 350 street dogs. Pause for Style, where celebs walked with their pets, was again highlighted and supported by Dr. Sanjana to create love for animals. Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump, Tiffany Trump, Marla Maples, Vanessa Trump, Melania Trump, Paris, and Nikki Hilton, Amanda Lende Harris, Lauren Bush, and more than 11 reigning Miss Universe have worked on projects and shows with Dr. Sanjana John. She tied up with United Nations and held a press conference in the New York headquarters. In India, she worked with Care International in hopes of a united front to combat the increasing pandemic of AIDS. Fashions to Dr. Sanjana is not the end, but the means to the end, which is to make the world a better place filled with love and light. She organized a show for Save the Girl Child against female infanticide with 16 celebrity siblings, including Salman Khan, Sohail Khan, Sushmita Sen, Rajiv Sen, Ria and Raima Sen, Sajid Wajid Khan, etc. She is a member of censor board. She is chairwoman of Friends for Good Health USA. She is winner of innumerable awards, including Karamveer Puraskar, Paramveer Award, Indira Gandhi Priyadarshini Award, 2 Rajiv Gandhi Excellence Awards, Hall of Fame, 2014 IIM Award for Excellence. So many awards. If I will read all the awards, I think the other panelists will complain that why I have not read the complete CVs of them. So I will not be able to read all the awards, but I will just say that she is such a decorated, awarded, and animal and environment loving person. So welcome Dr. Sanjana John on our show. Dr. Sanjana John, you have already heard the storytelling of Dr. Bose and Dr. Mukesh Sharma and Mr. Raj Shekharan, although he has not said as a story, but whatsoever he has mentioned was the fact what we all faced. But definitely we would like to know from you now, what new this new year? Dr. Sanjana John, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Golji, Lal Golji. You are
Uh,
an inspiration
Your volume is a bit less. Please speak loudly.
Can you hear better now?
Yes, please.
Yes. Thank you so much, Lalgolji. And to all the storytellers and light bearers, you were saying, I just want to say one thing. You're not the fuse lights, you are the light bearers. And it's because of you that you're dispelling darkness. And your stories are actually the inspiration for not just the generation to come, but for generations to come. And the kind of wisdom and the kind of depth with which you tell stories, it's not just inspirational, but it's aspirational. And I've been blessed to know Anand Bose ji from for a very long time. And I have to tell you, his way of inspiring youth and making them understand the facts of life is actually what is inspired to a lot of things that I have been doing. And I thank you specially, Anand Bose ji, for that. And again, Dr. Mukesh Sharma ji and Raja Shekaran ji, it's a pleasure. I don't feel that I have the depth to be talking on this panel because you are so way ahead of me, but I've learned that storytelling is actually the art of creating a new way, a new path of life. And I'm a voracious reader, and I know that all of you are people who actually know the art of storytelling. I don't know storytelling, but I love it. And I do take a lot of inspiration from storytelling. And fact to fiction or fiction to fact. I think it's a vicious cycle, sometimes positive, sometimes not positive. But it's definitely storytelling that keeps the cycle of life moving. Because what we read from years ago, what happened and what was happening is what actually keeps us moving today. And what you said, 2021, what are we expecting? I don't expect. I think we're all past that. I don't plan, I don't expect, I don't know what to expect. I think 2020 was a very good whip for all of us because we all thought that we were creating, we were the ones who knew we plan and we do. No, there is a force much, much, much more powerful and beyond our realm reach. And I think we know. And from what we saw, we felt that money, power, fame, fortune was what was important. But we realized what's most important is health, family, and being together, helping each other, which I think going forward is the biggest lesson I hope a lot of people have learned. A lot of people who earlier, and I think Mr. Rajshekharanji was saying, like, he was traveling all the time, international travel, and here today we are, communicating and connecting online. Of course, travel is different, online communication is different. But what we know for a fact is we can't plan for that travel anymore. We can't plan for what is ahead, but we can definitely plan to do whatever little we can within our control. And what is that control? Which is again interesting because last year, end of last year, I was in the process of making a movie, H2O movement, because I felt at that point the biggest problem that we were all going to face is water, and water conservation and planting trees was important. So we created H2O water, Om Eternity movement, and we started shooting. We even had plans to showcase it at the UN, and we had this great project which we started. As it proceeded, there comes Corona. Everything comes to a standstill. And from water, we realized Corona took over everybody's life. Lockdown, migrant, which Ananda Bose ji was dealing with. I mean, the issues we saw, so unpredictable, so unprecedented. None of us knew this was what was going to hit us. Now, looking at 2021, the vaccines come, it's rolled out, people have started. In fact, I'm a chronic asthmatic patient, and I'm hoping, because I don't want to travel and risk it without taking that, because I do have to for certain personal reasons, but still, without the vaccine, I don't want to risk traveling. Now, again, there are reactions, and I hope it doesn't react adversely. We do not know the new strain that's come up, because in UK we saw with 70% more depth, the new strain of the COVID has come up, virus has come up. So what to expect, not expect, we don't know. What to plan? Should we even plan? Not really, but looking at the glass half full versus the glass half empty is, I think, what we have to do. Staying positive is what we have to do. I found that interesting story of how Dr. Bose was getting off the train and pulled back into the train. Fact or fiction? It's something that teaches us to look at life. There is a reason, and there is a reason why things happen. And being born on the second might actually be much better than to be born on the first, because sometimes the person who has to take the hit is always the first person. The one who's at number one gets hit first. So the person at number two can actually watch and say, oops, he got hit. So maybe I should take a step back and then move. So it's about looking at life, adapting and accommodating whatever comes our way, and proceeding in a manner that we know is positive. Positivity is the approach. 2021, all over the world, people are looking at life with a hope of resurrection, but also, I think, with an understanding that we need to go back to nature. We actually destroyed planet Earth. I mean, it was such, and I love the way, I think, again, Dr. Rajashekharan said that Bangalore is actually cool again, because obviously people have stopped using a lot of things that they did. And Dr. Mukesh Sharma, you said about stories and how people come to you for the stories and understanding. You know, this year, 2020, the stories that we all have come up with, especially you, the storytellers, these stories will actually be a great foundation for the youth to step in, because as you say, 65% of India, they are youth. They are a little confused, a little lost, because a kind of fast-paced life that they were leading suddenly has changed. How can they change that for the better? That is what I think a lot of you can actually be showing them. Planting more trees, learning to be more organic, learning to be more effective, and to effortlessly step up to help other people, to be more caring and sharing and giving. These things are, I think, what's most important, because as we also saw, a lot of people are without jobs. A lot of people have lost their sources of income. A lot of families are struggling. So if the ones who have can share, can be a little more giving, I think these are the lessons that we need to be, nurturing and spreading out there. One of the interesting things that I saw, and I have to tell you, because I deal a lot with college kids and school kids, a lot of kids have not been going to school. They've been sitting at home. So the connect with friends and with people that they normally dealt with, it's cut. They have gotten closer to their family. A lot of parents who never had time for kids, they actually started spending time with the kids. And that was the best thing to have happened, I think, during the pandemic, the time with family. And I hope going forward, we are able to enrich that and show how important our families are, the value of a family, the value of having people to call and find out if you're okay. These things that we never actually realized, we are actually realizing. And as far as a lot of people lost people, I don't even want to mention how many close family, friends, people people I know I lost in this short time. But I hope we're all able to stand strong. We are able to stay healthy. And I think staying alive is the most important lesson we learned in 2020. And going into 2021, staying healthy, staying alive, and making sure we make the best of life every day. Live it as if it's the best, and look at the next day with as much zest. That's the way I see life and 2021. Thank you,
Thank,
Lottie,
thank,
and I
thank,
look forward to the others talk again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjana John, for giving your views about 2021. And two interesting things which I noticed is about the Dr. Bose. You said that it is good that he was born on 2nd January, not on 1st. I'm sure that Dr. Bose will definitely reply why what experience he have. If suppose somebody is hitting from the front, the first person has definitely, as you said. And secondly, you mentioned about the youth, that youths are confused what to do with the scene, what not to do. I think Dr. Mukesh Sharma has given a very good thing that we all are fused bulbs, the older generation. Simple solution, change the fused bulb, put a new bulb. Anyway, that is we will just see how the 2021 will come. But when we are talking about some stories, I would like to give one story of, I don't know whether it's fact or fiction. When I was only 6 months old, I was used to crawl, and Dr. Mukesh Sharma knows we used to stay in a very big compound in Mathura. So there I was crawling, and one cobra was there with the hood on, and I was just beneath it. And my family members, they saw. Now it may be for a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, they don't know, but they know that it was like, they cannot do anything because I was just beneath that cobra with a hood on and with like this. And anyway, that cobra went and I was saved. Everybody told me, oh, you are a Raj Yog. You are going to be like all the top people, whether whether in Jain Dharam or Hindu Dharam. Vishnu Bhagwan was always on this thing, and their hood is always there. Pashnath ji is having. But what I found in my life, that cobra represent the enemies are ready to strike me. So it said depends how you take the life. Anyway, thank you very much, Dr. Sanjana John. Now I would like to go to Dr. Bose. Dr. Bose, you have mentioned about the things, some stories, but we would like to know more your experiences of New Year or something, because you have traveled a lot in different countries and you have celebrated your New Year in different countries. So we would like to know from you any experience which you feel that it's really good and it's an eye opener for the others also. Dr. Bose, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. First of all, my thanks to my very young friend, Sanjana. She has really made my life. I was worried that I was born on the 2nd of January. Now she says there's a distinctive advantage in being the second. You can see the first one lose his head and you can learn a lesson from that. Excellent, positive statement. Now for the few years, life which I have, maybe 100 years or so, I think Sanjana's advice will certainly inspire me to take a positive attitude. Now, Mr. Goel's question about the celebrations of New Year, which I had witnessed in various countries, yes. That makes me a little philosophical, though I thought that in this occasion, we should be more in the lighter vein. I had been to Cambodia. Of course, Rajshekharan has been to all these countries. See, in Cambodia, I found the New Year is celebrated on the 13th or 14th of April, which is a harvest festival. I happen to be from Kerala. There also the New Year is celebrated Vishu, or 13th or 14th. And in China, the New Year falls according to lunar calendar. Of course, they have 1st of January also, but the New Year in each country, in each clime, each civilization depends on their cultural moorings. Similarly, in Tamil Nadu, we have the Puttanadu, isn't it? Chaitram, and then Ugadi in Andhra Pradesh, and various communities, various cultures, various civilizations. They had their own concept of New Year celebration, which is based on the local ethos and milieu. How came that all these things have been swept aside and we are taken over by the Western concept of New Year, which means even before colonization, colonialism, there is a kind of cultural imperialism. That is something which we have to take. I'm not going to say anything against New Year. It's a celebration which has stood the test of time. We like it. We take New Year resolutions. Let it be there. But there is an undercurrent of cultural imperialism nowadays. Therefore, this New Year 1921, we should also think of the cultural revivalism.
2021.
2021, yes. Now, the lead has to come from the representatives of the new generation, the bubbling new generation, like Sanjana. I'm very glad that the new generation will be able to take us to where we are expected to reach. And in the euphoria of the French Revolution, the poet sang, "Bliss was it to be alive in those days, but to be young was very heaven." I would remind the generation represented by Sanjana, you should make the whole world feel bliss was it to be young in those days, but to be Indian was very heaven. If you take a New Year resolution, you remember Arnold Toynbee said, after 200 years of Western dominance, the world will go to the values of India. This is a time for us. I think 2021 should make the world realize what India is. I think people like youngsters like Sanjana should be in the lead. You should be able to make the whole world say and feel proud of India. You should make the younger generation feel that Mera Bharat Mahan. I'm sure that will be it is going to be 2021 onwards is going to be India's day. Now coming back to the various countries which I visited. Cambodia, yes. Do you know in Thailand they celebrate New Year by splashing water on others like for the Holi. See, different countries have their own native sources of celebrating New Year. And I think there should be a revivalism for that in the post-COVID days. Now, as Rajshekharan said about life after COVID, my worry is COVID after life. Because the way COVID is having its way, which has been highlighted by Sanjana, I think we have to live with it. We have to get over it. We have to control it. I'm sure we'll do that. How youngsters can do that. Now, again, coming to the light again. See, in England, there's a practice of the Queen herself coming for the New Year Eve celebration. She will come in, royal glare and come to the Trafalgar Square. The entire city will be on the streets or on the Hyde Park. Once the Queen was caught in a traffic jam with all the military, all the police, the bobbies of London, all on the streets. Nobody could do anything. You know what really happened? A young boy and girl, they also came for participating in the New Year Eve. The boy was driving, the girl was in the seat near him. At the traffic light, when it showed red, the boy had a mischievous idea. He kissed the girl. When it turned green, they couldn't separate because the braces which the boy and girl had to level their teeth got caught. The Queen had to wait. Entire London had to wait. Their celebration, New Year celebration, was all done on the street. Then the dentist had to come to separate them. That is one instance of New Year celebration. There are so many. Once at Delhi airport, I saw New Year's Eve, as you know, a lot of people go to Kerala, God's own country, to Goa. One young boy comes to the airport, ignores the queue. He and his 5 young friends. He comes to the ticket counter. The counter girl is there. Long queue is because everybody wants to go to Goa. This fellow queue jumped and said, "I want 5 tickets in the business class in the next flight Goa." And the lady, the young girl at the counter, she said, "Sir, please be in the queue. All of them are there in the queue for this." This boy, who's a son of a top leader, political leader in Delhi, he told the girl, "Do you know who I am?" She ignored. Again, "Do you know who I am?" The girl had a mischievous idea. She announced over the mic, "Your attention, ladies and gentlemen. There is a young man in front of the ticket counter who has forgotten who he is. If anybody knows him, please tell him. That is one of the New Year memories about Delhi. There are so many, but I don't want to take your time for that. I will try to end on a happy note. This pleasant face of youth, the reassuring face of the new generation, which is now represented in Sanjana here. I am sure that Indian youth are next to none. You gave them the order go. They are willing to go into any impregnable fortresses where knowledge and leadership is required. India is for them. The world will follow India, and India will teach the world what the shape of things will be there. To that brave new world, I am sure that Mr. Goel, this discussion should certainly lead us to. This is going to be the world of India, and this is going to be represented by the youth, the new generation of India. Lead kindly light, lead kindly youngsters. That is perhaps my New Year humble message. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bose, for giving your message. And your message is very clear. This 2021 belongs to youth. And if youth will take the lead, then definitely no one can stop our country, great India, to lead the world. And we will be the global leader. Although we are the global leader nowadays for everything, even in Corona, if you see the mortality rate, it has negligible. With the size of the population you see today, yesterday report says that more than 30,000 cases were in the UK, and in India about 16-17,000 cases, while India is 20 times bigger than UK. So one can imagine the condition, how the country is moving. But what Dr. Bose said is rightly, that if youth take the message correctly, and in spite of for misunderstanding anything, rather if they focus and they come forward, definitely the India is going to lead. This 2021 will be the year for our country, India. Thank you very much, Dr. Bose, for giving such a strong and happy message for the youth. I'm sure the youths will take it very, very seriously. And I would like to inform all the viewers that the GYAN, which is a Global Youth Activity Network, is in its endeavor to enlighten and to bring the youths in limelight. Every week, twice a week now, we are doing a program where we call one chief guest and 6, 7, 8 the youths, and then they interact and they try to put up their problems or their things. Like yesterday, we had a program which was role of youth in rural development. So every time, even on 31st of December, our program will be media conference with Lal Goel. The topic will be the Goodbye 2020. And in that also, the chief guest is the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mangalore University, as well as that there will be youth participating to see what they have done in the 2020, what they have learned from 2020. And even on the 1st January, we are going to have a New Year resolutions again with the youths. So what Dr. Bose said, yes, 2021 is the year of youth. Dr. Mukesh Sharma's words, we all are now fuse bulb. When we are going to be removed, that depends. But the youth must take a lead, and they must shine everywhere in the world and show that the India is the real global leader. Thank you very much, Dr. Bose, for giving your views. Now I'm going to Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Dr. Mukesh Sharma, you have heard everybody. Now we would like to have a small story from you again. Doctor, please unmute. Please unmute.
Mr. Goel, there are two things which I take it from this. One is, yes, we are looking at the youth, and there are two stories which directly connects with them. One is the youth has to be at the right place to deliver. If Sanjana is good in something and she is put up at some other place where she cannot deliver, then there is no point of howsoever youthful she may be. Two, they have to be energetic all the time, like we are at this moment. So there are two stories for it. One story is about a camel and the mother. I hope you must have listened to this story. This little camel bacha, camel boy, you can say, talked to her mother and said, Mom, why God has given us this big hump? What do we do? It's so uncomfortable. It doesn't look nice. There are no aesthetics. He said, no, my son. This is very good because you can store water in it. When you're walking in the desert, it helps you. Oh, and what about these eyelashes, mom? They're so big that sometimes they're hurting my eyes. Oh, don't know. They help you in the desert with the winds. There's so much of sandstorms are there. They help you. They save you from that. Your eyes cannot be damaged. Okay. And what about these? In my foot, there are so much of so much of padding in it. When I'm walking, I'm not at all comfortable here. She said, no, but when you walk in the desert, they help you to walk on that. The padding is good for us. She said, mom, then can I ask you something? He said, yes. What the hell we are doing in the zoo? What the hell we are doing in the zoo? If we are desert animals, we should be there. So if you're not at the right place, you cannot deliver, you cannot do what you're supposed to do. So a youth has to be very clear about it. It happened in our times. Ladke ko engineer bana do, doctor bana do, wo kar do. Ladka wanted to do something else, but he was put at some place. Whole life he could not deliver what he wanted to deliver. And number two, this story, I'm sure Mr. Raj and others must have heard, but I'm only repeating myself. It's about the Japanese fishes. Japanese are very crazy about fresh fish. And because of that, they consumed all the fresh fish what was around their land. So the shore was actually blank there was no fresh fish. So what they did was, sir, they took big boats, trawlers, and they went deep inside the fish in the sea, and they got fishes from there. By the time they brought those fish back, they were stale, and Japanese knew what is the fresh fish and what is the stale fish. So again, problem. So to overcome that problem, what they do, they started putting freezer in the boats. So whenever they catch the fish, from the catch, they would put in the freezer and bring it back. But again, the frozen fish and the fresh fish, Japanese could make out the difference. Again, there was a problem. To solve it, now what they did, they removed the freezer and they put a water tank. Now what they would do, they would pick up the catch, put it in the water tank and bring it back. But what happened, by the time the fishes would come back to the shore, they would become stale and they would less energetic. They had nothing to do about it. And again, the Japanese knew that this is not a fresh fish. Though it has been caught fresh, it's in the fresh water, still it is not as fresh as it should have been. To overcome that, then they did the final thing which worked and the industry became one of the top industry. They put a little shark in the tank. And this shark would eat up 1 or 2 fishes, 3 fishes, and was satisfied. But the other shark were always moving around to save themselves from the shark. So they were always energetic. They were always doing something. So by the time they came back to the shore, they were as fresh as they could be. This is what I'm asking for the youth. Do they have a shark in their tank? They need a shark in their tank all the time to be all the time energetic, to be all the time. You can't be stale, especially after this corona thing, where Internet of Things is going to be the only thing now, sir. Earlier it was, I would say, Internet of everything. So these people, first of all, must ensure that they're at the right place. If they're not at the right place, it's like what I made mistakes. I don't want the next generation to do it. I would sum it up with my own nephew. When I asked him once, he was trying to put his hand in the fire, I said, "Aag mein haath mat dalo, jal jayega. Mera jal chuka hai." He said, "No, mama, I want to learn from my mistakes." I said, "Well, no problem, but you will take that much of time to reach where I am. Whereas I'm asking you to bypass me and take a route which is much faster and you reach much ahead of me where I was." That's how I look at it. Because today's youth, let me tell you, because I'm working with these millennials, they are with so much of technology, so much of information, so much of things happening. They're becoming, immediately they are being burnt out for anything. Their interest, their connectivity, it is not there. The patience part has gone. But one thing has happened, rather 2 things has happened because of Corona, which somebody asked me also in the thing, and which I'm only repeating what they said is, family value system has come back because they stayed together. One, and people have realized that less is more. You can live in much less. You don't have to spend so much of money on things, and you can really enjoy your life. What we used to do it. At least I would say, thanks to Corona for at least that bringing back the people together. I can only sum up that.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma, for giving your views. And you have mentioned about the family values, how it has. But I have done the programs of my media conference in which the homemakers complained that we do not want that entire family should be there. There is no me time. And I will not say, but I have to mention in the lighter vein again, the husbands have many more complaints because they can't go anywhere out for during the lockdown. From morning to night, they have to see the same face. So there are, yes, advantages for the family values, but there are disadvantages also.
No, but those
Uh,
are very minuscule,
yeah, I know
people,
that.
sir.
I'm
Overall,
saying in
overall
lighter,
family
lighter.
value.
Yeah, I know
No,
that.
I
It's
know.
a,
No,
it's a,
even I have written an interesting story on that. That creativity has taken one step out. Now the husband has been told how to be careful in the kitchen while helping the wife. I've written an interesting story. I'll
yeah,
send
yeah,
you on that. Don't
yes.
do things, otherwise you'll be stuck up. But we'll
Yes.
take it at some other.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sharma. Now I would like to go to Mr. Rajshekharan. What is your take now? 2 minutes to you, Dr. Rajshekharan. Mr. Rajshekharan, please. Please unmute.
Thank you so much. It's been very enlightening. First of all, a big thanks to the other people on the panel, including Mr. Goel. You're doing a great job by bringing all these people together, and we get to know each other. Especially to Sanjana, it's been an exciting discussion from you, and many of the things you said are very close to my heart because I do work with the environment. I worked for 15 years with the polluting industries, which was oil and gas. Then I moved over to the other side with non-profits where we work for the environment. So there is a connect there. And I want to talk about two things very quickly, two small stories again, about youth, because that is the future. And as Dr. Bose said, we have at least one young person here. All of us are probably dated. I'm going to be 70 this year. So we have done a fair part of the life and we don't know how long remains, but that's fine. So two things. One, when we come to developing youth, I do work with MBA students. I teach MBA students from special projects, special courses like power and politics, etc. So it's quite interesting when you work with them. I've noticed two things. One, there is a lack of parenting because a lot of parents try to behave like friends with their children, but they have enough friends. They don't have parents. So I find that when I play the role of more of a parent as a teacher, the new generation responds fantastic to me. People complain they have no discipline, they don't do this. I don't allow anyone to come late to my class, but they accept it. There is an initial skirmish that happens, but then beyond that, they like that because they love that discipline. We were taught that way, but we are not teaching our children that way. So I think we are to blame. I would put it that way. The second thing is I do a lot of coaching and mentoring, and there are two stories I would like to talk about coaching and mentoring. One, for coaching and mentoring, I have to believe that everyone is A plus somewhere. My job is to find where that person is A plus. And I think every person is A plus somewhere. That's a basic assumption on which I start any coaching or counseling session with people. And that helps because everyone is really A plus somewhere. I believe that. The second part is we have had, if you look at the Indian culture, going back to what Dr. Bose said, we have a very strong culture of Gurukul system. We have a system of bringing up the best in people. And I'll say one story which has struck with me, really stuck with me for a long time. So there is an old teacher and a student comes back and to meet the teacher and says, sir, I'm now a teacher. So he says, why did you become a teacher? What prompted you to become a teacher? He said, you remember that day when I had stolen an expensive pen from one of the other students and you finally took it and gave it back to him. And the way you did was very good. He said, because you asked all of us to close our eyes and stand there. And the teacher came and checked in everybody's pocket. He found the pen and returned it to the person, but he never said who took it. So that's a big lesson for him. Oh, so then the teacher finally says, oh, that was you, because when I checked the pockets, I closed my eyes, otherwise I would have been biased. So that was a teacher. He went for the ball, not the player. And we say that in a lot of counseling, we say, go for the ball, not the player. So when we look at that way, I think there are huge lessons to be learned through stories, which will bring us back to the culture that we had and we have lost. And all I would say is the youngsters respond fantastic. And they're very talented, very skilled people. They need a bit of direction, a lot of support, and coaching, counseling, and some of the new skills that people need. And I would stress one thing, which is communications. Because of the new technology and media, we have lost some of it because we are texting, we don't look at grammar, we can't put a simple sentence together because it's not required. So I think getting back to proper communications for people, helping them, because telling stories needs communication. They'll have to tell stories. We are all fuse bulbs. So they'll have to become the bright bulbs and tell a lot more stories than we do. And that comes from two things. One, a broad understanding of what I call, I'll stop with this one. Somebody asked, what's the difference between knowledge and wisdom? So knowledge is very simply put, it's a searchlight, it's a focus light. You see only a small part of the picture, whereas wisdom is pulling back. So you not only see the object, you also see it in a context. So it's like a wide angle lens versus a zoom lens.
Okay.
I think giving that wide angle lens to people, youngsters, is going to be our challenge if we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rajshekharan. Because of the paucity of time, Miss Sanjana, any message you want to give in 1 minute's time, please.
Absolutely. One, I would like to thank Anand Boshi, especially for that special message that I lead by watching you, and again, the inspiration that I'm getting from the Gurukul culture to the Japanese fish, to understanding how important youth are in the next, especially coming years. I think I have learned a lot from everyone on this panel. Thank you, Lal Goel ji, for this great opportunity. But one thing that I would also like to mention, as much as we are talking of the positives, there's also a huge negative. The depression rate is very high. The drug culture is escalating. And most of all, the youth today need a lot of guidance. And that's where all of you come in. And I think it's a great thing what you say about not just being a good friend, but sometimes being a good parent. You have to be a little firm, because one of the big problems that I have been seeing amongst the youth is also their obsession with online porn and getting
Oh,
obsessed with
uh,
online.
Dr. John, we have to,
Uh,
yeah.
a quick second and I'm off. But so if you as the leaders, and the reason why I'm taking this minute to say that is what I cannot do, all of you can. And if we are able to mold and modulate that, I'm sure our message by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji about Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliance, because this is what we are all learning to do, and we should actually get our youths to do that, because a lot of them after education, unemployment. So
Oh,
by being self-reliant and by you leading them, I'm sure we will be able to do.
okay, thank you very much. So today you have seen, we have mentioned about what new in the new year, but the intellectuals, they have given the stories, but in the stories they have given a very clear message that the 2021 belongs to youth, and if youth will come forward and take up, which they are taking up, they have transformed them, definitely the India is going to be the global leader. Thank you very much. And today's program is live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day new topic. And tomorrow, media conference with Lal Goel, the topic is 2020 lessons learned. And our panelists are Dr. Rajiv Anand, senior psychiatrist and marriage counselor, Mumbai; Captain Prabhat Bhandari, ex-captain, Merchant Navy, Mumbai. We have Miss Tanu Arora, Vice President, Swiss Ray International SE from Singapore. She is joining from Singapore. And Miss Preeti Gadia Agrawal, homemaker, Mumbai. So please tune in tomorrow to watch media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30. And thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. Thank you very much, Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Thank you very much, Mr. Rajshekharan. And thank you very much, Dr. Sanjana John, for joining
Thank you
and
very much.
enlightening and giving your views.
Thank you.
I am sure today's program has enlightened all of you with such a stories, but the stories were giving the message which is required today. Thank you all for watching.